I don't even know where to welcome people to, Mr. Greever. I'd say welcome to WDRB. We're not on TV, we're streaming. I'm pretty sure we're on the internet, so we're in one of those forums. But welcome, Eric Crawford, Tyler Greever. We're here to talk a little bit about Louisville, Pittsburgh. Their biggest matchup of the ACC since Duke, or since the last game, or however Pat Kelsey wants to phrase it. But this is a big deal for Louisville because, this is one of the last chances Louisville has to play a team, ranked in the top 40 nationally, to be honest with you, when you look at their schedule going forward. So what do we think of this matchup? What are you looking for?
Yeah, I think the first thing you start with is, can they keep defending at the level that they've been defending at in recent games? And I don't only say that for Louisville's perspective for how they've done on that end, but Pitt has really been a good offensive team this year, and something that I know you appreciate, Eric, because we both are big on KenPom, is that these are two teams that both rank in the top 50 in offensive and defensive efficiency so far this year. But for Pitt itself, I think they've been more impressive on the offensive end of the floor. They should test Louisville there. But Pat Kelsey's talked a lot about how good Terrence Edwards has been on the defensive end of the floor. I think they're blocking shots a little better than, I don't know if that may regress a little bit. They've got at least 3 in each of the past 3 games, but James Scott plays a role in that. So I think that's the first thing I look at is, can your defense carry on the road into what people forget? That's a tough environment when Pitt is good. The Oakland Zoo traditionally has been pretty tough on opponents. So I think that's the first thing I look for.
Yeah, when it's rolling, it's a pretty intimidating place. I've been there many, many times. Louisville has always played well there historically. For whatever reason, they ruined some big nights for Pittsburgh in that building, college game day type situations way in the past. One thing about Pittsburgh does shoot the ball well, and that Louisville's going to be challenged. They got a bunch of guys, you think of Pittsburgh, or at least I do, and I think of a big, bruising, defensively dominating team that gets rebounds, and this team's got some of that. But this team shoots it really well. They're at 35.5% from 3. That's pretty good. Certainly a lot better than Louisville's, 9%, whatever Louisville's shooting. But they shoot at 57% from 2. They shoot it well from the free throw line. So they make shots. And this is going to be a game, Louisville's going to play well defensively, and that's a given. But they're going to have to make shots at some point to beat these better teams, to beat some of the teams they've been beating here in the ACC. Good teams, maybe not great ones, they've been able to get by. They need to have a hot shooting game. And the good news is that's been a little bit more likely from Louisville on the road. So I look for a game where Louisville's going to get some 3-point opportunities. Pittsburgh is not a team that's going to shut you down and keep you from shooting your shots, but at some point Louisville's going to have to make them. And so Rain Smith, very important. Terrence Edwards, offensively very important. Any of these guys are capable of making threes if taking the right shots. And then Louisville offensive rebounding is always going to be a weapon. Somehow they're getting that done. And Javon Hadley rebounds. James Scott does a little of everything. So I'm just curious to see how it looks. If they play their game, the game they've been playing the last 5 or 6 games, they got a shot to win this game. And if they win this, you've got a chance to put together a lot of wins and build, not an overwhelming NCAA tournament resume, but a tournament resume nonetheless.
Yeah, and then they will also see Pitt one more time before the end of the year as well. I think it's on March 1st. And if you want to go with the advanced metrics, this is really only we know that this does not determine every single result. But if you're someone who is into that, then this would be only one of 2 losses throughout the rest of the year, according to KenPom. Like, Louisville will be favored in a lot of these games moving forward, which frankly, mentally, that's still an adjustment for me. I think at the moment after what we've watched, but Eric, they've earned it. I think at this point, I have been impressed with Pat's ability to adapt a little bit this year, because we know the injuries kind of changed the complexion of what we thought this was going to look like. They still take a lot of threes. I don't think they're playing as fast as we thought they were going to because of who their personnel is right now, but that's good coaching. I mean, you have to be adjust to whatever you have to make it work during the course of a given year.
Well, it's funny. We talked about offense before the season and early in the season when they did some of the things they did. And lately it's been defense. And, And it was interesting to hear Javon Hadley after their win over Clemson say, Kelsey's leaving signs all over the practice facility about the importance of defense, be the more physical team. That now has become their identity. They have switched identities with Case and Pryor not available and their numbers down a little bit. And they become a team that he wants a defensive mentality out of. And these guys, he calls them pros, and they are pros in every sense of it. But they professionally switched how they view themselves as a team, how they're going to have to win games. So I think it's going to be good. I think this is a huge defensive test for them because it's a really good offense. I have simulated the game 50 times on this Mattel electronic basketball game and come up with the fact that Louisville can do a job defensively here. But they've just got to be careful about putting Pitt to the free throw line. Pitt's pretty good at driving, getting the line just the way Louisville is. The other metric that nobody's going to get anywhere else, the reason, and not the reason, but I'll just throw it out there. This little Christmas tree, this one-piece throwaway tinsel tree, Louisville is undefeated with that tree up. So I cannot be the reason they lose. I take, now if they lose, I can go ahead and get rid of it, which will happen. Somebody's going to have to run the table, but they have run the table with it back there. So you got to be a little bit careful. Give people, you don't want to be the reason that a team falls off. So
no,
all that is expert. Only the best of analytics going on here. It's a tough time to catch Pittsburgh. They're just coming off of getting absolutely pummeled by Duke and Cameron, so that it's tough psychologically to come in. They're going to come back and look to fire back. I mean, I just remember Pittsburgh. There were like 3 years in a row where they beat Louisville every year in the Big East tournament. They were the ones that knocked Louisville out. And my favorite Pittsburgh game, well, not my favorite, but my most memorable, and I can't remember what year it was, but it was like a triple overtime game in the Garden in the Big East tournament. And I'd gone over to have lunch with Russ Brown before the game, and Russ is ordering martinis. And so I'm young. I haven't been to New York that often, and I hadn't had that many martinis. And I've had like 2.5, and I realized I'm not sure I can walk back across the street to the Garden. But luckily the game was triple overtime, and I could get my wits about me to write the newspaper story by the time it was over. They lost the game. They had a huge comeback, triple overtime, and lost. So I had to scramble. I'll be in a lot better shape for this game on Sunday afternoon. I can promise you that. That's we're doing this because it's snowing right now, so we get to hopefully stay and just watch tomorrow for Saturday. But we'll have full coverage on DRB throughout a big ACC matchup because, as you said, I think if they get this one in addition to the win they just got against Clemson, you really do have to like your chances in this ACC moving forward. And I have to say, as someone who grew up on ACC hoops, I am not used to looking at the ACC this way. I'm used to it being a little better than this as a whole. But if you're Louisville, you're not complaining after what you've been through. No, I mean, look, it's similar to Jeff Brom's first season where they got a little bit softer schedule, but hey, just you win the games that are in front of you, and you move on, and it helps build your program. So there's nothing to apologize for. Nope. All right, good deal, Tyler. Man, we'll talk about more soon. Maybe we'll Pittsburgh again tomorrow. See what happens. Should be fun.
Yep, absolutely.
Thanks everybody for joining us.